Let's begin by offering our respect to our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So what did we see in the previous class? We are on chapter number
11.
11. And what's the title of chapter 11?
The universal form.
The universal form. So here, upon Arjuna's request, Krishna is showing the universal form, isn't it? So we saw this chapter began, first of all, by Arjuna acknowledging that, yes, I have benefited by hearing this knowledge from you. How he has benefited, he says that my illusion has now been dispelled. Why does Arjuna say this? Is because in the beginning of chapter 10, Krishna told him that what I'm going to speak now, I'm going to speak knowledge better than what I have already spoken. And I will be speaking this for your benefit. Therefore, now Arjuna, first of all, he says that, yes, I have benefited by hearing from you. And then we see how Arjuna refers to Krishna as Kamala Patraksha, lotus-eyed one. And we discussed how this is a very intimate and very sweet way of addressing the Lord. And then Arjuna expresses his desire. What is Arjuna's desire? That he wants to see that form of the Lord by which he is entering into this cosmic manifestation. And then with a very, very humble attitude, Arjuna makes the request, because he says, if you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, so he says that if you think I am qualified, then please show me that form. So Arjuna makes the request in a very humble way. And he refers to Krishna as Yogeshwar, the master of all mystic power. Why he refers to him as Yogeshwar? Because he knows that Krishna is the master of mystic power and he can manifest any form on the spot at his will. Therefore, here he is referring to him as Yogeshwar. And then from 5 to 8, we see Krishna describes the universal form to Arjuna before he actually shows it to him, to prepare Arjuna for what he's going to see very soon. And then Krishna says that this form has never been seen before. So we discussed in this relation how Krishna has displayed his universal form twice to Mother Yashoda and once when he went as the peace messenger. But this particular form, which he's going to show on the battlefield to Arjuna, has not been seen. How this universal form is different from the other universal form is that in this universal form, the Kala Roop or Krishna's form as time was not present in the other universal forms. And today we are going to read in detail about this Kala Roop. We will see the description of this Kala Roop and what is the effect of this Kala Roop on the universe. What is the effect of this Kala Roop on Arjuna himself? We will see in today's class. And then and also Krishna tells him that in this universal form, you will see all that you want to see. Whatever you wish to see, he says, at once you can see in this body. And he says that you will also see that which you want to see in the future. So Krishna is going to show him, in today's class, we will see the future also. What is the end result of this battle? What is the outcome of this battle? Krishna is going to show him the future on the battlefield in this universal form. And then he tells him that you cannot see this universal form with your current eyes. For that, I have to give you divine eyes. And we discussed how actually this was a downgrade for Arjuna because his rasa changed from that of friendship to that of wonder. So this was a downgrade for Arjuna. Then we saw Sanjaya making his reappearance. After the second chapter, now in the middle, Sanjaya makes his reappearance in the Bhagavad Gita. And Sanjaya begins to describe this universal form. And Sanjaya refers to Krishna as Mahayogeshwar. Arjuna said Yogeshwar, but Sanjaya says Mahayogeshwar because he's stressing even more on the fact that Krishna is the master of all mystic power. And then we saw Sanjaya describing this universal form to Dhritarashtra, and we stopped till 14. In 14, we saw how Arjuna is wonderstruck, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end. So Arjuna's rasa has changed from friendship to wonder. And it will further change as we proceed in today's class, we will see. So this is where we stop today. We have to begin from shloka number 15. But before
Can I
that,
read one movie?
yes, Mataji, I love your enthusiasm. Thank you so much. Before that, let's chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Okay, so Sri Hari Nam Radha Mataji, you will read everything or you will read only the
Yeah, yeah.
translation?
No,
I can read
don't worry.
everything. Arjun's description of the universal form, section 11 to 15, 11 to 31. So Arjun begins to describe what he sees. First, he sees all existence immeasurable, with great radiance in one place within this form. Second, he also sees Krishna's frightening, all destructive Kala Rupa or form of time. Arjun then asks this form, what is your mission? Who are you? Overview of Arjun's self-described vision of the universal form 1531. 1519 realization spoke by Arjun. 1931 Arjun describes Kala Rupa. 1520 vision of the universe. 2023 effect of the on the universe. 23 to 25 effect on Arjun. 26 to 30 vision on the battlefield. 31 Arjun's question. Hare Krishna.
So we are going to see this in today's section. What is the effect of that Kala Rupa? First of all, he shows him the vision of the universe. What exactly Arjuna is seeing, Arjuna himself is going to describe. And then what is the effect of this Kala Rupa on the universe and the effect of Kala Rupa on Arjuna himself. And then vision of the battlefield. What's going to happen on the battlefield? He's going to show him the future. And then Arjuna asks a very important question to this Kala Rupa. So let's begin with 15. Let's hear the shloka.
Arjuna uvacha Pashyami devanstava devadehe Sarvanstatha bhuta vishesha sanghan Brahmanamisham kamalasanastham Rishimscha sarvanuraganscha divyam.
Translation. Arjun said, my dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents.
So shloka 15 to 20, we are going to, Arjuna is going to describe the vision of the universe and see what is Arjuna seeing here in his own words. He's seeing Brahma, he's seeing Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents. So in other words, he's seeing the top to bottom of the universe. We know that there are 14 planetary systems. Lord Brahma resides in the topmost planet, and then the serpents reside in Patala Loka. So he's seeing from the top to bottom of the universe. Let's see what else he sees.
अनेकबाहूदरवक्त्रनेत्रं पश्यामि त्वां सर्वतोऽनन्तरूपं नान्तं न मध्यं न पुनस्तवादिं पश्यामि विश्वेश्वर विश्वरूप.
Translation: O Lord, the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, no beginning. Hare Krishna.
So how is Arjuna referring to Krishna here? By which name?
Vishwa, Ishwar.
Vishwa Ishvara or Vishveshwara. So this is another name of Krishna, Vishveshwar, Lord of the universe. So we can see how the formality has now starting to creep in Arjuna's mind after he sees this universal form. And he says that he sees many arms, bellies, mouths, eyes expanded everywhere without limit. So in whichever direction Arjuna was looking, he was only seeing the universal form. He's not able to see anything other than the universal form. He says, Na antam, na madhyam, na punastavadim. There is no end, no middle, and no beginning to this universal form. Let's see more description.
किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजोराशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तम् पश्यामि त्वां दुर्निरीक्षं समन्तात् दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमप्रमेयम्.
Translation: Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides like blazing fire, or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. Hare Krishna.
So Arjuna is saying that this form is very difficult to see. Dur niriksham, he says in the third line. See, dur niriksham, very, very difficult to see this form. Why it's very difficult? Because of its effulgence. And he also gives an analogy to explain this effulgence. What is the analogy Arjuna is giving? It's like the blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. What else does he see in this universal form? He sees crowns, clubs, and discs. So it's Lord Narayan who adorns himself with a crown, and he has the club and he has a disc, he has a Sudarshan chakra. So it's the Narayan form of the Lord. So he's seeing Lord Narayan also in this universal form.
त्वमक्षरं परमं वेदितव्यं त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् त्वमव्ययः शाश्वतधर्मगोप्ता सनातनस्त्वं पुरुषो मतो मे.
Translation: You are the supreme primeval object. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the internal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion.
So see in 11.17, Arjuna said that this universal form is Ananta Rupam. And here now he's trying to describe that Ananta Rupam. Although it is not possible to describe it, still he's trying to give a description. What is the description he's giving? He's saying that you are the supreme primal objective, which means Krishna is the objective. Through all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. Vishwasya Param Nidhanam, the ultimate resting place of all this universe, because ultimately everything is going inside the body of Mahavishnu, and everything comes from the body of Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu is an expansion of Krishna. You are inexhaustible, Avyayam. You are the oldest. How is Krishna the oldest? Because nobody has come before Krishna. Krishna has come before everybody else. Therefore, he is the oldest. But that doesn't mean that the concept of God is a very old man with a long white beard sitting on the throne. No, still Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is eternally residing as a 16-year-old boy in Goloka. And then he says, you are the maintainer of eternal religion, Shashvata Dharma Gopta. And he says, this is my opinion, Arjuna says, Matome. So here he's describing the Ananta Rupam. Previously 17, he said Ananta Rupam, and now he's describing it in 18. Let's see what he goes on to describe in 19.
अनादिमध्यान्तमनन्तवीर्यम् अनन्तबाहुं शशिसूर्यनेत्रम् पश्यामि त्वां दीप्तहुताशवक्त्रम् स्वतेजसा विश्वमिदं तपन्तम्.
You are without original, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Hare Krishna.
So again he says, Anadi Madhyantam. There is no Adi, there is no Madhya, and there is no Antam. There is no beginning, there is no middle, and there is no end. He says that your glories are unlimited. Ananta Viryam. And then he says that he also has Ananta what? Bahum, arms. And he says Shashi, Surya, Netram. Shashi is moon, Surya is sun, Netram is eyes. So his eyes are the sun and the moon. He's describing the universal form here. And then, Swa Tejasa, because of the effulgence that is coming out from him, the entire universe, Vishwam Idam Tapantam, the entire universe is getting heated up. So here from 19 onwards begins the description of Kala Rupa. This is what distinguished this universal form from the other universal forms. So in the other universal form, there was no blazing fire coming out from the mouth of the universal form that Yashoda saw, or what Krishna showed in Hastinapur. Okay, so here begins a description of Kala Rupa. And this description will continue till verse number 31. Let's see.
द्यावा पृथिव्योरिदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदं लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन्.
Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets all space between. O great one, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed. Hare Krishna.
So verse 20 to 23, we will see the effect of the universal form on the other planetary systems. And we know that from here, we know that Arjuna was not the only one to see this form, because this form spread across all the space between the planets and also all the other planetary systems. And what is the effect of this universal form is that all the planetary systems are perturbed. Lokatrayam. So Lokatrayam, even the other lokas, three lokas, Traya means three, all the three lokas, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, they are all perturbed, Arjuna says. And he's referring to him by the name Mahatman or Mahatman. And see how Arjuna's emotions are contrasting here, because he says on one time, Drishtva, in the third line, on one side he says Drishtva, this vision, this what he's seeing is Adbhutam, very wonderful. And again he uses the word Ugram, it's terrible. So Arjuna is finding this form wonderful, and also it is very terrible. So he's going through some very conflicting emotions here, no, Arjuna. He's seeing positive and he's also seeing negative. Ugram is like terrible. So you see the kind of emotions that Arjuna is going through right now. And we also know from this that Arjuna is not, Prabhupada comments that Arjuna is not dreaming. It's so one may say that, oh, probably Arjuna was hallucinating, probably he's imagining things, probably he was dreaming, because did he really see it or no? One can say that, but we know that Arjuna was not the only one to see it. All the other residents of the other planetary systems also saw this universal form, and The other planetary systems were also very disturbed. Let's see what more effect is there of this.
अमीहि त्वां सुरसङ्घा विशन्ति केचिद्भीताः प्राञ्जलयो गृह्णन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षि सिद्धसङ्घाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः.
All the host of demigods are surrounding before you and entering into you. They are very much afraid, and with folded hands they are singing the Vedic hymns. Hare Krishna.
I think you missed a few lines here in between.
I'm sorry, I was reading from the book because I couldn't see the whole thing. All the host of the demigods are surrounding before you and entering into you, some of them very much afraid and offering prayers when with folded hands. Host of great sages and perfected beings crying all peace are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. Hare Krishna.
So what are the other effects on the universe that this universal form has? All the hosts of demigods, Sura Sangha. So Sura Sangha, all these demigods, they're all surrendering before this universal form and entering into him. And they're all very much afraid and they're offering prayers with folded hands. So the demigods are afraid. And then Arjuna says, Maharishi, the great sages, Siddha Sangha, the perfected beings, they are also crying all peace and they're all praying by singing the Vedic hymns. So they're all fearful of this universal form, and out of fear for protection, they are praying for protection, and therefore they are offering prayers. They're all scared. 22. Here, Arjuna doesn't give the names of specifically whom he is seeing. Now he takes a closer look and he mentions whom exactly he is seeing in 22. Let's see.
रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च साध्या विश्वेश्विनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्घा वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे.
All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Vishvedas, the two Ashwani and Murtis, for the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, and the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. Hare Krishna.
So the who's who of the universe, they are all wonderstruck by seeing this universal form. Whom does he see? He sees the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Rudras. How many Rudras do we have?
11.
11. Adityas?
Were there 21?
No.
12.
12, yes. Vasus? We also discussed Vasus previously.
Remember that. 12.
8 Vasus. Okay. Sadhyas are the invisible forms of the departed souls, departed ancestors. Then Vishve Devas. Vishve Devas is a collective term for all the demigods, Vishve Devas. The two Ashvis here refers to the two Ashwini Kumars, the gods of health. They also make their appearance in the Mahabharata. They are the biological children of Nakulan, a biological father of Nakul and Sahadev. Then the Maruts are the wind gods. How many Maruts have we seen in the previous chapter? How many are there? Half a century? 50 Maruts. And then the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are all beholding you in wonder. So all these people are wonderstruck.
Who are Sadhyas, you said?
Sadhyas, the description given is invisible form of departed souls. So there is a Pitra Loka where our ancestors go. So like that, they are also residing in one of the 14 planetary systems. So sadhyas are also invisible forms, and they are in the subtle body of the departed souls.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's go to 23.
रूपं महत्ते बहुवक्त्रनेत्रं महाबाहो बहुबाहुरुपादं बहुदरं बहुदंष्ट्राकरालं दृष्ट्वा लोकाः प्रव्यथितास्तथाहम्.
O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. Hare Krishna.
So say in this verse, Arjuna ends the description of how this is affecting the other planetary systems, and he talks about how it is also affecting him. He says that what is he seeing? By seeing this great terrible form, the many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, bellies, etc., and terrible teeth. He says that the teeth are terrible. Why? Because in the middle of this teeth, when Krishna shows Arjuna the future of the battlefield, he sees that all the warriors are entering into the mouth of this universal form, and they're getting stuck in between the teeth, and their heads are getting crushed there. So he says terrible teeth. So after seeing all this, all the other planetary systems, they are perturbed. So am I, Arjuna says. Not only are they disturbed, even I am very disturbed. So this verse gives us the effect on the other planets as well as the effect on Arjuna. And then after this, Arjuna goes on to describe how he is getting affected by seeing this universal form. By what name is Krishna referring Arjuna to in this verse?
Mahabaho.
Mahabaho. Previously, Krishna has called Arjuna Mahabaho, the mighty armed one. But here, Arjuna is telling Krishna, actually, you are Mahabaho because he has so many arms. No, see, Mahabaho, Bahu, Bahu. So, Bahu means many and Bahu means arms. So, he has many arms. Then, of course, he says Uru, which is the waist, Padam, the feet, etc., etc. So, Mahabaho is actually Arjuna's name, by which he was referred to by Krishna in the past. But here Arjuna is calling Krishna as Mahabaho. 24.
नभस्पृशं दीप्तमनेकवर्णं व्यात्ताननं दीप्तविशालनेत्रं दृष्ट्वा हि तां प्रव्यथितान्तरात्मा धृतिं न विन्दामि शमं च विष्णो.
Oh, all pervading Vishnu, seeing with you your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equivalent of mind. Hare Krishna.
Oh, all pervading Vishnu. So he's referring to him by the name Vishnu now. And so we see that how the relationship is getting formal. Lord Vishnu resides in the Vaikuntha Lokas and in his various forms. In the Vaikuntha Loka, the Lord is residing in his four-handed form, and the relationship between the Lord and the residents of Vaikuntha Lokas is more formal, right? We know that in Krishna Loka or in Goloka, the relationship is informal because there the residents forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are made to forget by the influence of Yoga Maya. So here we see that he's referring to him as Vishnu. And fear, he says that my mind is perturbed by fear. So the rasa has changed from wonder to fear now. Initially, it was friendship, then it changed to wonder. From wonder, his rasa has changed to fear. And he says that I can no longer maintain my steadiness. I can no longer maintain the equilibrium of my mind. How is he disturbed? He says, Pravyatita, he's perturbed. Antaratma, from the soul from within is disturbed, he says. No, Antaratma is the word that he uses there in the third line. And now what does he say? Previously he saw his eyes as Kamala Patraksha, lotus eyes. Now how is he seeing the eyes? He's seeing the eyes as Deepta Vishala, second line, Deepta Vishala. The eyes are Vishala, they are great, very big, and they're also glowing. Deepta Vishala Netram. So now no longer he's seeing the lotus eyes of Krishna. He's seeing Deepta Vishala Netram. 25.
दंष्ट्राकरालानि च ते मुखानि दृष्ट्वैव कालानलसन्निभानि दिशो न जाने न लभे च शर्म प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास.
O Lord of the Lords, O refugee of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions, I am bewildered. Hare Krishna.
So he's seeing Kalanala, the fire of death, the fire of destruction at the end of the universe. That fire is called as Kalanala. So this is what is perturbing. This Kala Rupa with all this fire of destruction is what is disturbing Arjuna and also disturbing the other residents of the other planetary systems. And he's referring to him here as Devesh, O Lord of the Lords. He calls him as Jagan Nivasa, the refuge of the worlds. And he's saying, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance anymore. So Arjuna is losing his balance by seeing this. And he says, death-like faces and awful teeth. Again, he's saying that the teeth are very awful because there is blood all over. By these warriors getting stuck between his teeth, there is blood all over. So he's saying, in all directions, I am bewildered. Arjuna was not even able to look at the sky. Not only around him, he was seeing the universal form, but even if he saw up, even the sky was not visible to Arjuna. Everywhere he saw, every direction he looked at, he was only seeing the universal form.
अमी च त्वां धृतराष्ट्रस्य पुत्राः सर्वे सहैवावनिबालसङ्घैः भीष्मो द्रोणः सूतपुत्रस्तथासौ सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः वक्त्राणि ते त्वरमाणा विशन्ति दंष्ट्राकरालानि भयानकानि केचिद्विलग्ना दशनान्तरेषु सन्दृश्यन्ते चूर्णितैरुत्तमाङ्गैः.
All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also are rushing into your fearful mouths, and some I see trapped with the head smashed between your teeth. Hare Krishna.
So here Krishna is showing him what is going to happen in the future. Arjuna says that he can see in this universal form Bhishma, Drona, Karna, along with all those kings who are supporting them, and also those on his own side. They're all rushing into the mouth of this universal form, and heads are being smashed between your teeth. So Krishna is showing him what is going to happen in the future. So it's like a distant vision is becoming immediate for Arjuna. For example, if one is watching a movie in a theater and there is this terrible character on the TV screen, we are thinking, oh, this is happening in the movie. And suddenly that terrible character manifests right next to you inside the theater, and he's going around doing terrible things, killing people, then what a horror it would be, isn't it? So a distant vision has become immediate for Arjuna now. Yeah, you raised your hand, Shivani.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay.
Is Vrinda Gopika Mataji reading something because I cannot hear?
Vrinda Gopika Mataji is not reading.
Okay.
I just read the sloka when Mataji is reading the tap of that sloka. That would be
Okay. Because I'm in the library, so I thought maybe you're reading something and I can't hear because of the connection.
No,
Sorry.
that's sloka, beta.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
Jai. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens in 28. So this vision where Arjuna is seeing that everybody is rushing into the mouth of the universal form actually means they are all meeting their death, isn't it? So one may argue that what is the big deal about becoming a devotee? A devotee also has to meet death, and a non-devotee also has to meet death. So what is a big deal? Why don't instead you enjoy your life and then you meet your death anyway? But then Arjuna gives two different analogies to describe this particular scene where everybody is rushing into the mouth of the universal form, and then we will discuss these two. Very, very important lesson.
यथा नदीनां बहवोऽम्बुवेगाः समुद्रमेवाभिमुखा द्रवन्ति तथा तवामी नरलोकवीरा विशन्ति वक्त्राण्यभिविज्वलन्ति.
Mataji, you cannot see the screen, or it's okay now.
As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter blazing into your mouths. Hare Krishna.
So what is the first analogy Arjuna is giving to explain this scene of everybody rushing into the mouth of the universal form? He says, just as how the waves of the rivers are flowing into the ocean, in the same way, these great warriors are entering into your blazing mouth. And they're all going very quickly. Vegaha is the word he uses. Very, very quickly, they are rushing into the ocean. Now, there is one more analogy that Arjuna gives. Let's see that, and then we will discuss the two.
यथा प्रदीप्तं ज्वलनं पतंगा विशन्ति नाशाय समृद्धवेगाः तथैव नाशाय विशन्ति लोकाः तवापि वक्त्राणि समृद्धवेगाः.
I see all the people rushing for full speed into your mouths as mouths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. Hare Krishna.
So the second analogy, Arjuna says, just as how the moths dash into the fire and they meet their death, in the same way, all these people are rushing into the mouth of the universal form at full speed. Again, he says, Vegaha, full speed. So let's compare these two analogies. First analogy was the river, second is the moth. Now, a devotee and a non-devotee, both of them meet death. But for a devotee, it is more natural. For a non-devotee, it is not natural. Now, the river flowing into the ocean is the river. It's just its state, right? It's in the liquid state. It flows naturally and it then goes into the ocean. And even in the ocean, it maintains a liquid state. It's not that the state of the river has changed. It is both in the liquid state before and after. In the case of the moth, once the moth rushes into the fire, the moth's body is completely charred, burnt, destroyed, and it has to take over a brand new. It is completely destroyed and it has to take a brand new body once again take another body, another birth. Now, for a devotee, he engages in devotional service throughout his lifetime, and even after death, he is going to continue to engage in devotional service. So the state of mind of the devotee has not changed before death or after death. Devotional service before, devotional service after. So it's natural flow of a devotee. And also for devotees like Bhishma, who are on the wrong side in this war, they are also compared to the river because they have not deliberately gone into the war and deliberately declared war against the righteous party, right? It was the flow of events or the circumstances that has forced Bhishma, for example, to take the side of, to fight the war in favor of Duryodhana. But on the other side, for a non-devotee, Duryodhana, for example, he has deliberately taken the decision to declare a war against the righteous parties because of his own self-interest. So that's a moth. The moth deliberately goes into the fire. Now, not only is the death different for a devotee and a non-devotee, even the lifetime of a devotee is contrasted with the lifetime of a non-devotee. Now, as the river flows into the ocean, the river benefits so many other living entities on its way. It's nourishing the land on its way. It nourishes the vegetation on its way. So many birds and animals can drink the water. So many entities have a bath in the water. So the river benefits so many entities before it merges into the ocean. A devotee also benefits so many other living entities before the devotee can merge into the ocean. The devotee, by preaching and by giving his association, can benefit the others during the lifetime of the devotee. But for a moth, nobody, when the moth rushes into the fire, the moth is not benefiting anybody else. Neither does a non-devotee benefit anyone during his lifetime. So this is how the acharyas explain these two different analogies. The river analogy is given to explain a devotee, and the moth is that of a non-devotee. So although both have to meet death, it's not the same, as some people may argue. Okay, let's go to 30.
लेलिह्यसे ग्रसमानः समन्तात् लोकान् समग्रान् वदनैर्ज्वलद्भिः तेजोभिरापूर्य जगत्समग्रं भासस्तवोग्राः प्रतपन्ति विष्णो.
O Vishnu, I see you're devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universes with your effulgence. You are manifested with terrible scorching rays. Hare Krishna.
So these scorching rays that are there in this universal form, that's burning the entire universe. It's covering the entire universe. And Arjuna is saying that he is devouring, he is swallowing, he's eating people from all the sides. And again, he's referring to him as Vishnu in this verse. Now, Arjuna has two questions for Krishna. Let's see.
आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्ररूपो नमोऽस्तु ते देववर प्रसीद विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यं न हि प्रजानामि तव प्रवृत्तिम्.
Translation. O Lord of the Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primeval Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. Hare Krishna.
So Arjuna has two questions now after he says this universal form. He wants to know, who are you and what is your mission? Who are you and what is your mission? Now, why does Arjuna ask these questions? Let's read.
Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. Bhagavad 11:32 purport. Hare Krishna.
So let us see Krishna's answer to this in this next section. Let's read this.
Krishna replies, Time, I am the destroyer of the world. The great warriors on both sides are already slain by my plan. You can be but an instrument. Arise and fight. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's see 32. Let's see Krishna's answer.
श्रीभगवानुवाच कालोऽस्मि लोकक्षयकृत् प्रवृद्धो लोकान् समाहर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे एव स्थिताः प्रत्यनीकेषु योधाः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time, I am the greater destroyer of the world, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Hare Krishna.
So Arjuna's question was, who are you? Krishna says that I am time. Kala Rupa. And what is your mission? Arjuna asks. And he says that my mission is to destroy all people. And he also tells him what is going to happen in the future. He says, with the exception of few, which is the Pandavas, all the soldiers on both sides will be slain. So there were so many warriors, all of them perished in the war.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was this words spoken by Lord Krishna when he was in the universal form, or when he came down from the universal form, means when he took his back
No,
his
he's still in the
body?
universal form.
Okay.
Okay, let's read this.
Krishna, in the form of universal time, replies to Arjun's two questions. Time, I am Kala Rupa. Mission to destroy everything, all the people in all the worlds except Pandavas. Indicates even if Arjun did not want to fight, they will die anyway. Reference Katha Upanishad, all Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme as the all devouring giant. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is indicating to Arjuna that even if you do not fight the war, anyway they are going to die, because Krishna already has the result with him that everybody is going to die. So he's telling Arjuna that irrespective of whether you fight or you don't fight, they are going to die anyway. So better to fight. That is Krishna's message. So Krishna says that he is time. Therefore, that much more we have to respect time. Let's read this article by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu.
The Bhagavad Gita 11.32 declares that time is the manifestation of Krishna. This understanding spiritualizes our vision of time management. We value time not just because it gives us the opportunity to do many things, but because it is Krishna himself offering us that opportunity. Every moment is precious. Each moment is a precious opportunity to remember Krishna and move closer to him in our heart. Spiritual time management is supremely rewarding both in the present and in the future. Material time management makes us feel pressured due to all that needs to be done, whereas spiritual time management makes us feel enlivened. Material time management can't award us even one thing that will last beyond that, whereas spiritual time management can award us divine love that will last forever and ever. Hare Krishna.
So see, time is a manifestation of Krishna. Therefore, that much more we have to respect the time that we have in our hands. Every birthday is a reminder that we have 1 year less to perfect our lifetime. Let's read.
This present is all we have and all that we will ever have. Use it favorably while you still can. Time. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So here we saw Krishna says, or the universal form says that, except for you, all the soldiers on both the sides will be slain. So here we have the survivors of the Mahabharat war. On the Pandavas, the 5 Pandavas survived. Satyaki was a student of Arjuna. He survived Jujutsu. Who was Jujutsu? Who was Jujutsu from the Mahabharat?
Yutsu was from the Kauravas side, brother of Duryodhana, who changed the side at the beginning of the war.
Yes, exactly. So he was a brother of Duryodhan, but he switched sides at the beginning of the war because there was an announcement before the war began. If anybody wants to switch sides, you are free to do so now. So Jujutsu had switched sides at the beginning of the war. So he was a righteous brother of Duryodhan. Duryodhan had one more righteous brother. Who was he? The other righteous brother, he perished in the war though. He was the only one who opposed the disrobing of Draupadi. Who was he? What was his name? It starts with a V. V Karna. Okay, V Karna. So Yuyutsu and Vikarna were the two righteous brothers of Duryodhan. Yuyutsu switched sides, but Vikarna, although he was righteous, he said that no, it's my duty to fight the war in favor of my brother because it's my duty as a brother, and therefore he fought on the Kaurava side and he perished in the war. Now these two righteous brothers can be drawn parallel with two other righteous brothers from the Ramayana. Who are they?
Kumbhakarna and
Kumbhakarna
Vibhishan.
and Vibhishan. Yes, Ravana also had two righteous brothers. Vibhishan switched sides, and Kumbhakaran, he decided to fight in favor of Ravan. So you can see that we can draw parallels between the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Okay. And then on the Kaurava side, there was Kritavarma, Kripacharya, and Ashwadama who survived the war. Everybody else perished. Okay, let's see what happens next. 1133.
तस्मात् त्वमुत्तिष्ठ यशो लभस्व जित्वा शत्रून् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धम् मयैवैते निहताः पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन्.
Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy the flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Sachi Shavishcha Sachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Hare Krishna.
So see here, this is a continuation of the previous verse. Previously, Krishna tells Arjuna that everybody is going to perish except for you. And then therefore he said, now therefore you get up, prepare to fight and win glory. So he's saying, although the result is in my hands, you just fight and glory will be yours. People will glorify you. So we always glorify Arjuna as this great warrior, isn't it? Then he says, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement. So irrespective of Arjuna fights or no, anyway, they are going to die. But if Arjuna fights, he will get the glory. If he does not fight, then people are going to be criticizing him and saying that, oh, he ran away from the battlefield. And then Krishna says that be an instrument. Nimitta matram, Krishna says, nimitta matram. You just be an instrument in my hands and fight the war. So this is a very, very important lesson for all of us, that Krishna already has a results with him. We render devotional service. Sometimes we try to preach, but the result is already there with Krishna. The question is, are we willing to become an instrument in the hands of Krishna? That is the question that we have to ask. Are we willing to cooperate with Krishna's plans? That is the question that we have to ask ourselves. So he's saying that you just be an instrument in my hands. Anyway, they are going to die. You just fight and you enjoy glory. You enjoy a flourishing kingdom. But see, we have to see here also that although Krishna tells him that you just be an instrument in my hands, I already have the result with me. Still, Arjuna, despite knowing the outcome of the war, he does not sit back lazily and say, okay, then let me just do a little bit, or why should I work so hard? Krishna has already arranged that I am going to emerge victorious at the end of the battle. No, Arjuna went all out and he fought the war to his full capacity. He did his best to show his sincerity from his side, and Krishna did the rest for him. So Arjuna did all that was possible for him. Krishna did the impossible. Every time Arjuna faced a challenge that was impossible to achieve, Krishna fulfilled or filled in with that which was not possible for Arjuna. Several times it has happened in the war. We will discuss a few times in the upcoming slide. But even after Krishna tells him that you are nimitta matram, you just be the cause, you just be an instrument. Immediately after that, Krishna calls him Savyasachi. What does that name mean, Savyasachi, first of all?
Is
Savyasati
it
is
something
one,
related to truth?
no, not related to truth. Okay, Savyasachin is one name of Arjuna. It means that he can use both his hands with equal efficiency to shoot his bow and arrows. Normally, we are more efficient with one hand. No, a right-hander is more efficient with right hand, but he cannot write with the left hand or do things with left hand, and vice versa for the left-hander. But Arjuna was so expert that whether he had to use his left hand or right hand, he was equally efficient with his weapons. So Krishna is glorifying him by saying that you are Savyasachin. So it's not that Krishna is belittling Arjuna by saying that you just be an instrument. No, you're not such a great thing. You're just an instrument. But no, he calls him that, yes, you be an instrument. And immediately after that, you see in the Sanskrit, after Nimitta Matram, he calls him Savyasachin. So he is also immediately glorifying Arjuna. Let's read this.
Krishna already has the result. What he seeks is our endeavor. Gita 11:33. Chaitanya Charanadas. Hare Krishna.
So what he seeks is our endeavor, our effort. We have to put in our best, and Krishna will do the rest. Read this.
To perceive God, we do not need any instrument. We need to become his instrument. Hare Krishna.
We need to become his instrument. Now let's see the main lessons from 11:33.
Krishna does not belittle Arjuna, says you can only be an instrument, but immediately glorifies him by calling him Sachi. Lesson from 11:33. Yeah,
Savyasachin.
Sachi 11:33. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Next.
Krishna does not belittle Arjuna, says you can only be an okay, I read that. Arjuna did not use Krishna's statement as an excuse for passivity. Instead, he took up the responsibility.
So this we already discussed. Next.
Krishna gives the assurance the success will be yours if you cooperate with my plan. Therefore, we must cooperate with Krishna's plan for us, use our skill in Krishna's service, and it will be acknowledged. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is assuring, you just cooperate with my plan, you just be my instrument, just be Nimitta Matram, and success will be yours. So what is the message we get? That we must cooperate with the plan of Krishna. Now, next obvious question is, how do we know what is Krishna's plan for us? How are we going to know that?
Prabhupada has already told us, how do we know what is Krishna's plan for us?
And what's the answer?
The answer is Prabhupada has told us to read Bhagavatam every day, to read Bhagavad Gita every day, to do book distribution, to do prasad distribution and eat prasadam yourself, to do morning arti, evening, afternoon arti, to do everything Prabhupada himself did. He showed us an example what we need to do by his life. He put his own life doing it, and he showed us how he wants us to live every single day from point 1 like 4:30 a.m. 4:15 p.m. to at night 10 o'clock or 9 p.m. He showed us.
Okay, so he showed us that we have to engage in devotional service. Let us see the answer here.
Krishna is interested in uplifting us, therefore he sends our way opportunities to engage in service. By grabbing those opportunities, by engaging in his seva, we display our sincerity. Then in those moments of life when things are unclear, he empowers us to achieve even the impossible. Hare Krishna.
Yes, so as you said that Srila Prabhupada showed us the way and he taught us how we should engage in devotional service. And we see how the opportunity to render service is not very easily given by Krishna to everyone. Why? Because one who engages in devotional service, he can overpower Krishna. He can tie Krishna down. And Krishna is not going to give that opportunity to everyone so easily. If one is sincere, then Krishna sends the opportunity to render devotional service. And what we have to do, we have to grab the opportunity and just do it. Just render, just do it. Just grab the opportunities and engage in the seva. And when we do that, then we are showing our sincerity to the Lord. And when we go through difficult times in our sadhana, in our spiritual life, there are so many obstacles, there are so many hindrances because Maya does not play nice. We know that very well, isn't it? She does her job to perfection. So when we have difficult situations, then Krishna is going to fill in and he is going to give us that which we lack. No, Krishna said in chapter 9 that those who render devotional service, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So we do that which is possible for us. We show our sincerity. Krishna will take care of the impossible. Now here there are two incidents where there are two impossible situations, and both these impossible situations were overcome by Arjuna. One was how to kill Jayadratha, and the other was Bhishma Dev. Now Bhishma Dev, we all know that he had this boon that he will die only when he wants to die. So who can defeat him? Who can defeat a person who you cannot kill him only because he has this boon, right? Still Krishna showed Arjuna the way how to take Bhishma away from the battlefield. And in the other case, Jayadratha also had a boon. His father had given him the boon that whoever is going to be the cause of bringing your head to the ground, his head will be destroyed and smashed to 100 pieces. So how to kill Jayadratha now? Who's going to kill Jayadratha and be responsible for his death? And then his body himself will be smashed into 100 pieces. So these were two impossible situations, but Krishna has solved the problem. So Arjuna did his bit, and when Arjuna showed his sincerity, when Arjuna went all out, tried his best, then Krishna filled in. How did he resolve the problem of Jayadratha? Let's see.
I know that Virdhak Shatra now sits some miles from here at Samantaha Panchakaha lake, deeply in meditation, therefore empowered your arrow to carry Jayadratha's head to his father's lap. Krishna to Arjun. Arjun instantly released his arrow. It flew like a comet straight at Jayadatta, who was standing fearlessly on the chair. It caught unawareness by the sudden reappearance of the sun, severing his head from his neck. The arrow carried it high into the sky and out of the straight sight of all the warriors. After traveling a great distance, it disposited the head on Virthak Shatra's lap. Startled, the monarch quickly stood up as his son's head fell on the ground. His own head broke into 100 pieces, and he felt that, oh, how beautiful this story. So that's why his head. I mean, that's why his body became 100 pieces. That's how Krishna solved the problem.
Exactly. Krishna told him where exactly is his father sitting, and he tells him, okay, you now target his head in such a way that it falls on his lap. So Arjuna did his best, and Krishna supported him and told him, okay, how to solve this problem. Same thing applies to us. We do our best, we show our sincerity, and wherever we need help, then Krishna fills in for us. And how did he solve the problem of Bhishma? Arjuna.
Krishna empowered Arjun in the war to achieve otherwise impossible feats like in the Jayadratha and the fall of Bhishma.
So Jayadratha, we already saw how he overcome. How was Bhishma? How did Arjuna overcome this obstacle called Bhishma in the war?
By calling, by Krishna calls Shikhandi.
Yeah, Shikhandi. They brought in Shikhandi in the war. Shikhandi was a woman in his previous life whom Bhishma recognized. And Bhishma said, I do not raise weapons in front of a woman because that's a Kshatriya dharma. And Bhishma sees Shikhandi as a woman, not as a man, which he is in this life. But who showed them this path? It was Bhishma Dev himself who gave this secret away. Krishna sent Arjuna to Bhishma and said, you ask Bhishma, you yourself tell me how I can defeat you in the war. So Bhishma Dev himself revealed this secret to Arjuna. And who sent Arjuna to Bhishma to ask this question? It was Krishna himself. Okay, so see, this is how Krishna resolves our problems.
Can I ask one question about Pitama? If
Yes.
God is with you, who can stop you? That when he was when he his arrows went to his like body, like, and he was like hurt everywhere, and then for how many days? 21 days he had to stay on the arrow's bed. How did he stay alive for 21 days? Like if somebody is arrowed down for 21 or more days, how do they keep alive? It doesn't make any sense that once somebody is arrowed at the war and they have to stay alive for this many days, it's like, how do they take so much pain and how do they stay alive? Usually people, they bleed to death and they just die.
Yeah, so that's the power of the boon that Bhishma Dev had, that he will die only when he wants to die. And he didn't want to die yet. And he was on the bed of arrows for 50 days, not for 21 days. For 50 days, he was there. Okay. No, he was there for 58 days. 58 days, because how do we know this 58 is because after the war there was a conversation between Yudhishthir and Bhishma. Yudhishthir, after the war, he was feeling very heavy hearted, and even Krishna was not able to convince Yudhishthir that you're not responsible for this war. So then Krishna told Bhishma that, and he told Yudhishthir that you speak to Bhishma Dev, then you will feel better. And then there is this conversation that follows between them, and that conversation lasted for 50 days. And Bhishma Dev fell on the 10th day of the 18-day war. So there's another 8 days. So for a total of 58 days, Bhishma was on the bed of arrows. Anyway, coming to the question, how? They are not ordinary souls. They have much greater ability to tolerate. Tolerance level for them is much higher than what we have in Kali Yuga. And of course, the boon, the power of the boon that he had, that he will die only when he wants to die. So he cannot bleed to death because he
So
has the
50
boon.
days, for 58 days, did he feel the pain, like severe pain?
Yeah, a devotee feels physical pain, but because they are transcendently high, they do not, they feel the pain and they don't feel the pain because they are feeling transcendental bliss. At the same time, there is some physical pain. So it appears that they are suffering, but they are not suffering because mentally they are on a different transcendental plane altogether. Okay.
Mataji,
Yes.
Mataji, I've also heard a story where Lord Krishna, seeing the state of Lord Bhishma Dev, had blessed him so that he doesn't feel pain, and then I think Arjuna or somebody had shot an arrow to feed water to him. I don't know where I read that story, but like I remember reading that story. I don't know how it's true, how much it's true, but it was Krishna's blessings that also kept him, I think painless for some days, is kind of what I've heard in some of the, they say they do Bhagavata in especially southern India when they recite stories of Mahabharata, they bring in smaller stories. That's where I think I had heard.
Okay, so quite possible. I have never heard it, but it may be true. Definitely it can be true. And yes, water story I have definitely heard. So yeah, very interesting to know that. Thank you so much. Okay. Can we continue?
If God is with you, who can stop Krishna? If God is with you, divine empowerments make mission impossible, mission unstoppable.
So this,
Impossible mission unstoppable.
yeah, so this is the potency of divine empowerment. When Krishna is with you, then even the impossible can become unstoppable. And how can we be empowered? When we show our sincerity to Krishna. Now let's take a question based on this. Does this mean there will be no obstacles for a devotee?
No, there will be a lot of obstacles, unstoppable obstacles, because Krishna tests his devotees more than asurs, because Krishna wants his devotees to be perfectified before they come to him or before they end up with him. So he wants his devotees to be spick and spark, like spotless of sinless activities, and also they how much humble and meekness they have. So they actually go through more than what the asurs go through. So to test, like Yashoda, like Devki Maya and her husband, she was actually she was rushed like from a guns. He took her from the hair and he pulled her and he was going to kill her, but then she got saved somehow. So, and then she was put in jail for so long and she couldn't even see the faces of her all the kids who died, right in front of her. It was just unbearable. But she thought whatever Krishna has given me, Krishna has taken back. So she took it as that humble meekness.
So what is the empowerment here? Because we are saying that divine empowerment. So if the Lord is empowering his devotees, but if both the devotees and the non-devotees are going to face obstacles, what is the empowerment here of the devotees?
Can you put the question in a different sentence?
No, empowerment. See, the word empowerment means the devotee is given a certain power. Okay, empower. So if both a devotee and a non-devotee are going to face obstacles in their lives, then what is the power that Krishna has given to the devotees that the non-devotees do not have?
Surrender, patience, and tolerance. And Krishna says, I'm with you and I will protect you.
But there are still obstacles. So what is it
But
that a devotee can do that a non-devotee cannot do?
When more and more difficulties came in our life, we become a more and more sincere in the bhakti.
Okay.
Faith.
Can you give us a hint? Empowerment doesn't. Okay. Empowerment doesn't mean absence of obstacles. It means perseverance amidst obstacles.
So perseverance amidst the obstacles. So a non-devotee has the ability to tolerate those obstacles and persevere or to continue with determination despite the obstacles. So
Yes,
this is what the Lord empowers his devotees with.
I mentioned that tolerance, patience.
Okay. All right, fine. Okay, so let's see this, try to understand this with an analogy.
A river does not turn around discouraged upon reaching an obstacle. It instead finds a new path to keep moving in the same direction. Very beautiful.
So this is the empowerment that a devotee gets from Krishna. Now let's see this with an example of Arjuna. Let's read this.
Arjun didn't ask Krishna's assurance of empowerment to expect or demand an obstacle-free service. Instead, the preserved relentlessly Arjun's path was far from obstacle-free. He had to fight many demanding battles, had to face frustration, had to endure heart-wrenching losses of loved ones. What then was the empowerment? It was his unshakable resolve to keep fighting even in the presence of obstacles. And when his utmost efforts were not enough, Krishna intervened miraculously. Chaitanya Charnadas, Hare Krishna.
So see, although Arjuna knew the result of the war is going to be in his favor, still he did not tell Krishna, okay, so I don't want any obstacles in my fighting this war. No, Arjuna also had to face one after the other obstacle, but he overcame those obstacles. He went all out. He did his best. He fought with all his force. Before the war, he did so many things. No, he went to the heavenly planets and he collected so many weapons also from the demigods. He did many things before the war also. So Arjuna put in his best. And then wherever Arjuna was lacking, Krishna filled in. For example, now there are many examples, but let's take just the example of Jayadratha because we've already discussed him. Now Jayadratha was responsible for the killing of Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son, isn't it? And now Arjuna had taken the vow that I am going to kill Jayadratha. And if I do not kill him the next day, then I am going to give up my body. So now the Kauravas also knew that if we prevent Arjuna from killing Jayadratha that day, then Arjuna is going to be out of the scene. He's going to commit suicide. He's going to give up his body. So therefore, they placed Jayadratha behind so many other warriors, so many formidable warriors Arjuna had to face one after the other, till he could reach Jayadratha, who was right behind, because Jayadratha was hiding. He was not coming in front and fighting with Arjuna. That was the plan of the Kauravas, that they will make Arjuna give up his body by preventing him from killing Jayadratha. Now, finally, after Arjuna fought so many warriors, one after the other, and finally, when he reached Jayadratha, time was falling short, right? He was running out of time. And therefore, Krishna created an eclipse-like situation. He covered the sun. And what happened? Jayadratha thought that, oh, now the sun has set, because according to the rules of the war, we cannot, once the sun sets, then it's the end of the day. You cannot continue fighting. So then he created an eclipse-like situation. He covered the sun, and Jayadratha thought that the day has ended, and he was laughing. He was very happy, and then he came out of hiding, and he came closer to Arjuna, and he was laughing. And he said, like, see, you were not able to kill me. Then Krishna uncovered the sun. So the sun had not yet set. It was a situation that Krishna created, and then Arjuna, he killed Jayadratha. So you see, Arjuna put in his best, and where Arjuna was lagging, where he needed divine interference, there Krishna has fulfilled it for him. So Krishna carries what we lack. We do the possible, Krishna does the impossible. We do the ordinary, Krishna does the extraordinary.
About the sun covering and the sun recovering, that was a beautiful story that you mentioned.
Yeah.
How Arjuna helped.
Yeah, you want to describe it?
I was actually hearing you, but I had you in mute, and I was myself saying the exact same thing you were saying. I was so excited. I just love the story.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Also, we'll see from the life of Srila Prabhupada. Let's read this.
Here I am now sitting in New York, the world's greatest city, such a magnificent city, but my heart is always hankering after that Vrindavan. I shall be very happy to return to my Vrindavan, that scarred place, but then why are you there? Now, because it is my duty, I have brought some message um, for you people, because I have been ordered by my spiritual master. Whatever you have learned, you should go to the Western countries, and you must distribute this knowledge. So, in spite of all my difficulties, all my inconveniences, I'm here because I'm obligated by duty. If I go to sit down in Vrindavan, that will be good for my personal conveniences. I shall be very comfortable there, and I will have no anxiety, nothing of the sort. But I have taken all the risks in this old age because I am duty bound. I am duty bound, so I have to execute my duty despite all my inconveniences. Srila Prabhupada Lecture, New York, 1966. Hare Krishna.
So we see how Srila Prabhupada also went through so many obstacles, so many difficulties, so many inconveniences, especially in the first 1 year of his life when he went to the West. But Srila Prabhupada persevered, and then Krishna sent him all that he was lacking. Now, question. Does it mean that a devotee never meets failure? Can you identify the characters on the screen?
No.
This is Ravan.
Ravan and Jatayu.
Ravan,
And Jatayu.
Yeah, Jatayu.
Yes. So Jatayu is a devotee. Did Jatayu win against Ravan, or he met failure?
No, he actually got his thing cut off. Ravan cut off his wings, I believe, and he killed him too. But he was alive just to give message to Ramji that I did my best to save Sita, but Sita was taken away from Ravan, and I was alive only to give you that message so you can go and get Sita back.
Yeah, but in this battle between a devotee and a non-devotee, who emerged victorious?
Kind of Ravan. Ravan took Sita.
Yes, so Ravan was able to defeat Jatayu. Now, does this mean that Lord Ram is not with Jatayu? Or if a devotee does not meet with success, does it mean that Krishna is not with us?
No, absolutely not. It means that he's actually with Jatayu, but this Leela had to occur, and he was the messenger. Ram made him a messenger in this Leela to give message about Sita to Ram and Ravan, about the Ravan taking Sita, the message. So this was his position in this Leela, and that's why. And Ram was still always with him. So Ram never left his side. He never, even though he lost the battle, he never left his side. He was always with him. supported by Ram.
Okay, let's read this text.
Okay. Jatayu Lotus. Jatayu lost the battle against Ravan, but he won the war over Maya. Jatayu preserved for
Persevered.
hours. Preserve for hours to prevent Ravan from taking Sita away. Thus, although in the body of a vulture, he attained the spiritual kingdom, thus winning the war against Maya. Chaitanya Charnadas, Hari Krishna.
So although Jatayu lost the battle against Ravan, eventually he emerged the winner because he won the war over Maya. First of all, he gave up his body in the lap of Lord Ramachandra. What better death can one ask for? And then Lord Ramachandra himself performed the final rites and rituals for Jatayu. And of course, Jatayu has attained the spiritual realm because he gave up his body, of course, thinking of Lord Ram and on the lap of Lord Ram and rendering devotional service to Lord Ram. So he may have lost the battle against Ravan, but he definitely won the war over Maya because he has attained the spiritual realm, even though he is in the body of a vulture. Usually, one has to have a human body to be able to attain the spiritual realm. Very, very rarely we see a few freak cases where in the body of an animal, the person was able to attain the spiritual realm. And Jatayu is one such case. So we may lose a few battles here and there in our lifetime. Maybe we are defeated somewhere economically or relationships. We may lose some battles here and there, but ultimately a devotee definitely wins the war against Maya. One more example. Can you identify the characters on the screen?
Can you give us a guess, because this picture looks kind of very, very old? It looks like a king.
Okay. Anybody else wants to try?
This person is a devotee. The person lying down on the floor is a devotee, and this is a king.
Okay.
Is it Haridas Thakur?
No, it's not Haridas Thakur.
Is it Prahalad?
Not Prahalad. This is from the Mahabharat war. A scene from the war.
Oh, Abhimanyu.
Oh yeah,
Abhimanyu. Yes, exactly. Abhimanyu. So Abhimanyu was killed by 6 warriors who simultaneously attacked him, isn't it? Now, Abhimanyu won the battle, or was Abhimanyu defeated in the battle?
Abhimanyu didn't win the battle because he knew how to come inside, but he didn't know how to go outside.
Yeah. So Abhimanyu lost the battle. Now, after this, after Abhimanyu was killed, Yudhishthir was feeling very heavy-hearted. The reason being that it was Yudhishthir who encouraged Abhimanyu to enter into the military formation of the Kauravas. Now, on this particular day, the Kauravas played a trick. They took Arjuna away from the battlefield and they distracted him, and he has gone away fighting with somebody else. Okay. And they have this military formation, a chakra view. And Abhimanyu was the only one who knew how to break through this military formation. Nobody else knew it. And therefore, Yudhishthir told Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu's problem was he could enter, but he does not know how to come out of it. So Yudhishthir tells Abhimanyu, all right, son, you go ahead, you break the military formation. We will follow you close behind. The other Pandavas, we will follow you close behind, and then we will be there to protect you. So, but now the problem was Jayadratha had a boon. Jayadratha's boon was that at one particular point of time, he will be able to fight against the other Pandavas and simultaneously fight them and keep them away. That was a boon that Jayadratha had. And Jayadratha made use of this boon at this particular time to prevent the other Pandavas from entering the Chakravyu formation right behind Abhimanyu. So what happened was Abhimanyu entered the military formation, the Chakravyu, but Yudhishthira and the other brothers were prevented from entering by Jayadratha because of this particular boon that he had. And eventually, Abhimanyu, he None of the great warriors on the Kaurava side were able to defeat him. He was able to defeat even Karna, who was supposedly considered by many people to be equal to Arjuna. But we see that Karna could not defeat even Abhimanyu. Okay, so he was able to defeat all of them, and finally Dronacharya had to give the order that 6 of us should simultaneously attack him. That's the only way that we can defeat him. So for this reason, Yudhishthir was feeling that he is responsible for the death of Abhimanyu, and he was feeling very heavy-hearted. At that time, Vyasadeva gave him a very important lesson. Let us see what Vyasadeva told Yudhishthir at this particular point of time.
Abhimanyu was brutally killed by 6 mighty warriors: Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Duryodhana, Karna, Ashwathama, and Kartavarma, who timidly attacked him. Hare Krishna.
And the other text?
I'm sorry. I had to move my screen. Upon the death of Abhimanyu, Vyasadeva addresses a grieving Yudhishthira. He said, "You should not lament for the boy. By laying down his life in the battle, he has gone to regions only attained by those who perform the foremost of sacrifice. There he will reside in unending bliss. No enjoyment in this world would be able to entice him away from where he has now gone. O king, he shines like a god in a splendid new body. We should grieve for those still living rather than those who have attained such an end." Mahabharata, Part 2, Chapter 15. Hare Krishna.
So Vyasadeva tells Yudhishthira that you should not lament for Abhimanyu, because he has gone to this place where he is going to be eternally blissful, which is, of course, he has attained the spiritual realm. Instead of grieving for him, we should be grieving. We should be lamenting for those of us who are still alive, because we have not yet attained that, attained the destiny that Abhimanyu has already attained. So therefore, although again, Abhimanyu has lost the battle against these 6 warriors, but he won the war against Maya. Yeah, Mehak, you have a question?
Mataji, can you explain this line? He shines like a god in a splendid new body.
Yeah, splendid new body. He's got a new body because now he has a spiritual body. He has the material body has been destroyed. The subtle body has completely dissolved, and he has a brand new spiritual body. And that spiritual body is splendid. It's wonderful.
Okay, so it's the spiritual body.
It's the spiritual body.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, Mataji, wasn't he the son of the sun god? And the sun god said that Abhimanyu would not be left here for long, and that's why he died, because he had to go back to his father, something like that.
Yeah, not the sun god, the moon god.
Yes, sorry, yeah, the moon god.
Yeah, that's true. That also I have read. Okay. So what do we have to remember?
We may lose the fight, but must not lose the fighting spirit.
So we may lose a few battles here and there, but we must not lose the fighting spirit. We have to continue with full determination our war against Maya, day after day after day, meet challenges, overcome obstacles day after day after day. Now question.
For an ordinary person, maximum success that he can attain depends on what? Krishna.
For an ordinary person.
No, for an ordinary
Money,
person.
faith. Oh, sorry, money.
Yeah.
Success depends on what?
His success depends on his free will, and his success depends on his work, how hard he works, how hard he plans, and all that. And Maya.
How hard he works. So there are many people who don't work hard, but they are still millionaires.
So it depends on Krishna's mercy.
Krishna's mercy, but we are talking about ordinary person who has not surrendered to Krishna. He's a non-devotee.
Can you give us a clue or a hint or some
wealth, I guess.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let's see. What are you saying, Shreya?
Wealth, money.
No, wealth, money is a sign of success that he already has.
Some luck. So what determines the luck? Is luck your
if
previous
somebody is more lucky, wait, hold on.
Previous births were karma.
Previous births karma, yes. So for an ordinary person, maximum success depends on one's karmic balance. Okay, this is the reason why somebody works very hard day in and day out, but he's not successful. Somebody may be a complete moron, completely foolish, but because he's the son of a rich industrialist, he now becomes a managing director of his father's company, and he has many intelligent people working under him. So this is his karma. Okay, so for an ordinary person, maximum success depends on his karmic balance. Now for a devotee, maximum success depends on what?
Krishna.
Krishna.
Bhakti.
How much Krishna empowers him. Okay, so the more we work hard, the more we display our sincerity, the more Krishna empowers us. Now question, let's read the question.
Because we can do the impossible, does it mean we can do everything? With Krishna's help, yes, but with Krishna's help, no. If Krishna doesn't want to help us, no. Then if Krishna wants to help us, yes.
Okay, let's read what we have here.
No, we are not God. Only God is God. When God empowers us, we may do the impossible. But God is not bound to empower us to do everything. Even if we long to do something, He may empower us someone else to do it, or He may decide that it needed happen at all. Need not happen at all. Divine empowerment is both real and independent. E.g., during the war, Arjun achieved the impossible on severe occasions, most famously when they penetrated through the entire Kaurava army to fell Jayadatta. Yet, despite achieving such impossible feats, Arjun didn't achieve everything. He couldn't have save Abhimanyu, Chaitanya Charan Das, Hari Krishna.
So divine empowerment is both real and independent. Yes, definitely, if we are empowered, we can attain the impossible. But that doesn't mean that we can always attain the impossible. It is completely independent. Krishna can choose, okay, here I want to empower you. Here I do not want to empower you. So Arjuna was empowered to achieve many impossible things on the battlefield, but at the same time, he was not able to save Abhimanyu. So Krishna can choose depending on what is good for us, depending on time, place, and circumstances, where and when he wants to empower his devotees. Let's go to 34.
द्रोणं च भीष्मं च जयद्रथं च कर्णं तथान्यानपि योधवीरान् मया हतांस्त्वं जहिमा व्यथिष्ठा युध्यस्वजेतासि रणे सपत्नान्.
Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and the other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanish. Vanquish your enemies in battle. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is mentioning that these warriors have already been destroyed by me. You just fight. So what are the names he is mentioning here? He says Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, and Karna. Now, very interestingly, Krishna mentions Jayadratha here. Jayadratha is actually not as formidable a warrior as are Drona, Bhishma, and Karna. In fact, in chapter 1, when Duryodhan mentioned the warriors on his side, he did not mention the name of Jayadratha because he did not consider him that great a warrior. But here Krishna is mentioning Jayadratha because what is going to happen on the battlefield? Jayadratha is going to be responsible for one of the turning points of the war. What was that?
Abhimanyu's killing.
Abhimanyu's killing, exactly. So why was Abhimanyu's killing the turning point of the war? What happened
Because in that the rules would be broken.
Exactly, the rules were broken. So what is this rules? What is this pact of rules that happened between the two parties before the war began? The two parties decided, okay, now these are the sets of rules and regulations that have to be followed in the war. And then finally, there was one rule, which was if the opposite party breaks a rule, then even we can break the rule. So the Pandavas said, we will not be the first ones to break any rule. We will follow all the rules and regulations of the war. For example, no fighting after sunset, only one person kills another person, fights with another person at one particular point of time, or that a person should not be attacked. Like for example, if one is on the floor and the other is on the chariot, no, both of them have to be at the equal level when there is a war between two people. So like that, these rules and regulations were charted out. And then the Pandavas said that, okay, we will not break the rules. But if you Kauravas break any rule, then we will also break the rules. And at the death of Abhimanyu, for the first time, the rule was broken in the war, which was 6 warriors simultaneously attacked, what's his name? Abhimanyu. Okay. And after this rule was broken, then the Pandavas were encouraged to kill Karna, for example. Karna was on the floor and Arjuna was on the chariot. Or to kill Dronacharya when he was seated on his chariot and he was without his arms, right? So all these things happen after the Kauravas broke the rule for the first time. That's the reason why Jayadratha is mentioned here by Krishna. Okay, so with this we will stop today's class. In the next section, we will see Arjuna's prayers to Krishna, or to the universal form, to be more specific.
Mataji, when are you going to come back? When will be your comeback after this Bhagavad Gita ends? And then you can maybe give a class for like 2 hours or 3 hours continuously. It'll be so much fun.
Yeah, let's see. When we finish the Bhagavad Gita, let's see how it goes. Okay, so we have to see. I don't know yet. I have not made any plans. My desire is to do something for kids. That desire I definitely have. But how everything else will work out, we will see how it goes. Okay. I would like to, if there is something, then I would like to merge slot 1 and slot 2 in one class. First of all, that. And we work out the timing
together.
Yeah. And maybe less frequent, not every week, maybe once a month we can do something together.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so maybe
because
like
for
that
8, 9, 10 Vaishnava, it's together, then it's easy for you. Because in this country, everybody is working and so many spiritual responsibility and material responsibility. So better Saturday, Sunday, both batch will be together.
Yeah, not Saturday, Sunday. I have both batches on Saturdays only, morning and evening batch for me.
But both will be together in
evening.
Yeah,
we will have one group. We'll merge everyone together, and maybe we can have class once a month or so, not every week. So that way, I will have some time to do something for the children. Okay. So anyway, we will see when we come to the end of the. Still, we have some time, so we will see.
Half of the Bhagavad Gita is there.
Okay. Yeah. So Shri Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada
की जय जय श्री राम माता जी की जय 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 नित्यानंद जय जय गौरांग श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय श्री भागवत गीता की जय वांछकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुमयैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय थैंक यू माता जी कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम हरे कृष्ण माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम
thank you all very much. See you all next week for our next class of Krishna so sanctions. Till then, have a nice week.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम
Jai.
Thank you.
माता जी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
Yeah.